for refusing to give my former BIL stepchildren access to my late sister's possessions? My sister Anna died 8 years ago. She had 2 boys, Luca and Milo, with her husband. The boys were her whole world, and when she realized she wasn't going to make it, she took me aside and told me she wanted me to look after her possessions, which included her small jewelry collection, a couple of very fancy art supplies, think custom paintbrushes kind of thing, some stuffed animals she'd had since childhood, and some family photos, baby books, and blankets saved that belonged to our family. She told me she knew her husband would move on, and she worried he would allow any future children of his to have her stuff instead of her boys once they became of age. She made me promise I would keep them for the boys once they moved out. I made her the promise and I kept it. He knew about it and was extremely unhappy with Anna's decision. He felt betrayed and like they should be just as much his as hers, but legally he couldn't do anything. My former BIL remarried 6 years ago and has 2 stepdaughters as well as a bio daughter. Luca and Milo come to my house 1 weekend a month, which was ordered by the courts, and while they are with me, they have admitted to feeling like their dad wants them to treat the 3 girls like their mom's kids. He had asked them to ask me to give the girls the jewelry and stuffed animals. The boys also told me he had shown the girls the photos of the 2 of them with the stuffed animals, and the girls got really jealous. They said they don't want their mom's stuff to go to them. I promised them it would not, and I would give it to them one day. Former BIL's oldest stepdaughter is turning 13 soon, and apparently she wanted my sister's locket or a look-alike. He approached me about it, and I told him no way. He told me I was being selfish, and they are Milo and Luca's sisters, and Anna's memory should be shared with them, and they should feel like they have a guardian angel looking out for them. I told him Anna had not wanted that, and her priority would always have been her children over children he had or took on with someone else. I told him those 3 girls were nothing to do with Anna and were not entitled to any of her possessions. He called me an asshole and told me I was making the girls feel bad and that even if Anna never met them, I should have accepted them as family and done my best to treat them. He also brought up my not even letting them see the things in person, the stuffed animals especially. And I do remember his younger stepdaughter, who is 10, was upset to not get to see them. It makes me wonder if I'm being too harsh with the kids. But I also don't want them to get attached either because they will never actually get anything from me, and the boys don't consider them sisters, so it's unlikely they will ever give them anything either. Am I the a-hole? Comments. Not the asshole. Did Bill leave his hair on stash in one of the stuffed animals or something? This is pretty weird behavior. I can only imagine he wants some or all of those things for himself for some reason and has manipulated the girls into wanting them in an attempt to get them back. Christ on sale, does this man have any shame? Bill is the one disappointing these children by showing them things he knows they'll never have and attempting to use their emotions to blackmail you into submission. What kind of emotionally derelict human is this? If I were you, OP, I'd make sure these things are kept under lock and key. Your nephews are blessed to have such a wonderful promise keeper and aunt. I hope your sister haunts your Bill for this fuckery. She knew what she was doing by entrusting you with her things. It sounds to me like your sister's marriage wasn't that good if she knew he was that selfish. Hold the line for your nephews. Their dad didn't have to tell the new kids about the stuff or show them pictures. He's using those kids to get back at you and his dead wife, which is sick. Even if you have to hold on to it until they graduate or out of the house. Story 2. Am I the asshole for cutting off financial support to my youngest, adult son? My youngest son recently turned 18, and I'm considering cutting off financial support. His mother and I split up at the end of 2008 after a mentally abusive relationship. She's a narcissist. She moved with him and her parents 2 states away a few months after the breakup. I didn't fight the move. A lot happened between then and now. I became homeless a few years after the financial crisis, fell behind on child support. She used that as a reason to not let me see or talk to him. By 2019, I was in a stable situation and was paying back the owed child support, but he was diagnosed leukemia. Then I inherited a large sum of money. I paid off the owed child support and moved closer to him. I helped my ex financially, beyond the court-ordered support, because she couldn't work while caring for him. She tells me she's an empath and could feel our son didn't want to visit me. Then COVID hit, and I never heard of this empath stuff from her again. She used COVID as an excuse. I called him twice a week throughout all of this. He was a sweet kid and very smart. There were times that I would catch her in lies, like a Christmas where she said he didn't feel well enough to see me, but he called me an hour later asking me what time I was coming over with his gifts. He was cleared from treatments and in remission in 2021. He was no longer the sweet kid and been sour about a lot of things. His girlfriend broke up with him, he lost a few friends, he hated the response to COVID by adults he trusted, etc. Throughout all this time, they had been living with her parents. She has worked sporadically in the past 16 years. By 2022, my savings had almost been depleted. I had been also helping his older brother during the pandemic, so I decided to move to the country where my oldest son was, so that I could still be in a stable living situation and provide financial assistance to both my sons when they needed it. Around this time, his mother asked for a $2K loan, and I obliged. Things were fine until about 6 months ago, maybe more. My ex found out she was due to inherit some money, and my son stopped answering or returning my phone calls. I talked to him twice during this time, and he blamed being busy with school and a new girlfriend. In those calls, he's not very talkative and low-key disrespectful. He made time just before his birthday to ask me for a $900 item that he wanted. When I told him it was out of my price range, he asked me to take it up with my parents using their first names. I told him no, and sent him $200 instead. My oldest has his own business with a family including 2 kids, but still makes time to talk to me almost every day. He saw less of me and received far less financial support growing up than his younger brother. This is where things kind of get weird. Last month, I traveled to the US to see him graduate. He turned 18 the week before his graduation. My whole family showed up except his brother, who couldn't because of obligations at home. The first night, my ex invited us to dinner at an Italian restaurant. Before the dinner, my mother wanted to pay the bill for everyone, until she saw that the minimum plate was above $50. When we got there, him and his mother were talking to someone and ignored us for 20 minutes. At dinner, my mother asked my son if they go to this restaurant much, and he replies that it's the first time he ever went. So, my parents pay for themselves, I pay for myself and my son with his girlfriend. My ex shows irritation at having to pay for herself. The next night is the graduation dinner. My sister and her family are there. My ex brings her brother, a cousin, and her mother. In all, there are 12 of us all together. My ex's mother sits across from me and apologized for not fighting her daughter harder when she was limiting my access to my son. She goes on to tell me she won't be at the graduation because her husband isn't allowed to go. This is very shocking to me because my ex had previously idolized her father. The dinner ends with my parents paying for half the bill. I put in $150 and my ex only needed to pay $50, but it's upsetting to her. She mumbled something I couldn't hear, but I ignored her and walked away. Therapy taught me not to confront her narcissistic BS. The next day is graduation. My son's last name is hyphenated with both my last name and that of his mother's, but it's her previous married name, not family name. Anyway, when he is called for coming on stage for his diploma, my name is left out. That stung. After the ceremony, my ex is congratulating him by saying, "We did this all on our own with no help," completely ignoring that she had help from her family and mine. I ignore all that noise because I'm used to her bullshit. After I left the US and got home, her mother texted me asking if I could share photos because her daughter won't. I obliged. She then unloads about everything happening there. My son told his grandfather not to go to the graduation because he doesn't take good care of himself. Mind you, this guy is in his 80s and has been in and out of the hospital for various health issues. My ex has blocked them on everything, all while still living with them. Her mother admits that their retirement savings were used up to help her. She tells me that my son treats them poorly too. To be honest, I never liked her parents. They were awful people back in the day. Her father called me a loser for not being able to find work after being laid off, but the goes to jail 2 weeks later for embezzling money. As a human, I do feel for them though. I've been through a lot with my parents, but I'd never treat them like this. Apparently, they're moving out next month when this inheritance arrives, completely abandoning the people who helped them for 16 years. My youngest son is back to ignoring my phone calls, and soon the first payment for his college is due. I feel like I'm being obligated to pay for his college fees while also having my name excluded again when he graduates. Everyone in my family is telling me not to support them anymore. I think they're right, and I'm considering it. I'm leaning heavily on that. Comments. Cut the cord and wish them well. You probably won't ever hear from him or her again, and if you can live with that, cut them off. Not the asshole. Sounds like your ex raised your kid into an asshole. A teenager is easily influenced and manipulated. Who knows what your kid has been told about you or what she's done to result in this behavior? Cut her off? Yes. But you're always gonna have to be the bigger person when it comes to dealing with your son. You don't have to give in to spoiled requests, but basic needs and things such as education are still something you should be helping with if you can possibly afford to. Showing your kid how to be a good man is also your responsibility. So you have to show him how to do the right thing even when someone else is doing wrong.